Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. This evening I would like to talk about Tom Ford. The star of the show is gonna be now infamous discontinued Sahara Noir. But Tom Ford discontinuing his most successful in terms of creation and originality, but not so much in sales sense or nothing new. It took me quite a while to acquire this bottle. I only got it maybe half a year ago, I think. So as a collector, Tom Ford enjoyer since the beginning of my journey, this is pretty strange, I guess. Most people get their Sahara Noir faster in their journey. It took me some time. I had a sample, I knew what it is. I just, to be honest, didn't want to pay the premium price that people are asking for it. I had my reasons. One of the main reasons, I am not a big fan of amber fragrances in general. I have my bases covered. I have my Lair de Desert Marocain. I have Serge Lutens vintage Ambre Sultan in my cabinet, but it's not relevant to this review, I think, too much. And I have a drop of something that I wanted to mention in Sahara Noir video, and I will reveal it again somewhere in the middle of the video. For those of you who don't know, but I guess by now everybody knows, there are two main lines of Tom Ford fragrances available. There are the signature line, where this one was originally released, and there's a private blend line. For Tom Ford is nothing new to cross the bridge between these two lines and release fragrances from one line to another. Best examples would be Ambre Leather 19 from private blend became just Ambre Leather. Beau de Jour from private blend became Beau de Jour from signature line. But in case of Sahara Noir, in my opinion, this is a signature line scent that could have been easily released as a private line fragrance. Why I think that? It's not a controversial opinion, I'm sure. It is a remarkable incense amber fragrance. It is absolutely high quality enough to be in a private line. It is dark and intriguing and mysterious enough to be in private blend line. The only thing I think it is absolutely not fitting to be in is a feminine line. By the shape of the bottle, if you don't know, this shape of signature line bottles basically mean that the fragrance was released as pour femme. For those of you who never smelled Sahara Noir, it's absolutely unisex. I would even say it's probably leaning more masculine than feminine, if anything, because it's quite bold. It is strong, it is dark, it is resinous. Amber here is very, very potent. Incense note here screams from the beginning of the scent till the end. If you're not a fan of incense fragrances, this absolutely would be not for you. For many, this is a quintessential incense fragrance overall. But Tom Ford sometimes does strange things, let's say. Discontinuing the most artistic scents sometimes makes sense on the business side, because they just don't sell as good as some more mass appealing fragrances do. especially in these times. Back in the day when this was released, the all surrounding community of frag heads and in general consumption of fragrances looked quite different from now. Creators and brands and perfume houses were a lot more bold than they are now in our current days. And this was my scent of an evening, but I will again still reapply to experience the opening freshly. If you look at the pyramid of the notes of Sahara Noir, I think in some cases it's a little bit misleading, not by a lot. For example, we have orange as a top note, and maybe, of course, next to the orange we automatically see labdanum and cypress, so I think the more experienced frag heads won't expect this to be fresh, and it absolutely is not. But funny enough, I pick up orange in the opening very well, but it's not the meat part of the orange, it's the skin with its bitter citrus scent. So yeah, absolutely, this is not a fresh fragrance by any means. The main accords from the opening, the orange is already almost gone. We have incense, resins. They say beeswax. I won't argue with that. It might as well be beeswax. It is a little bit sweet, a lot incense, a little bit bitter. Other notes like rose, jasmine. To be honest, maybe my nose by now is spoiled by these artisanal fragrances from Bortnikov, from Maurice Ladore. I don't get any jasmine here, I don't get any rose here. Maybe they're there to provide some texture or something, but as far as florals go, I don't feel like Sahara Noir is a floral fragrance by any means. It's straight ambery, incensey, resinous scent. And in the base we again see labdanum, amber, cedar, vanilla, oud. Again, I don't want to get sued or anything, but my nose, of course, obviously can't pick up any natural agarwood here. It's more cedar, as they say, and vanilla and stuff like that. I have another excellent amber fragrance here with me, with theme of desert, different desert. This is Sahara desert, this is Moroccan desert. For me, this is a quintessential amber fragrance. I value this creation by Andy Tower quite a bit higher than I value Sahara Noir. But given that, again, Andy Tower is an indie perfumer, it was never too mainstream. Most of the time you couldn't get Andy Tower at your shopping mall or anything like that, while Sahara Noir you absolutely could. This was a shopping mall fragrance at some time before, and that I'm happy I was alive at the time that but I didn't have any interest in fragrances. I was just too young, too poor. Some other things catch my interest at the time. So in these days, I think we are not gonna get anything close to this from any designer house, albeit Tom Ford or anybody, especially in a designer signature line. The price it was sold at, it was I don't remember. I don't know actually what price it was at release, but I assume at $100 probably at most. I don't know if you remember the exact price of Sahara Noir at retail. Please comment. I would like to know this information. Um, but nowadays it's time long past. That's why this fragrance is now extremely expensive, extremely sought after, and I'm pretty sure it's not not limited amount of these bottles were made. Tom Ford is a mass producing house. I bet thousands upon thousands of even 10,000s or 100,000s of bottles were made. But because the rarity was not an issue, people who bought it actually to use it. Not like with artisanal houses we see, and I'm guilty of the same in at some cases, people buying bottles and just letting them sit on a shelf maturate. Nobody was waiting for Sahara Noir to maturate. They were just using and thousands upon thousands of bottles are finished. Given that this is discontinued, this has never been brought to the private line or anything like that. The availability is getting scarce, and given that again it's extremely high quality scent for a designer, and again I'm not doing comparisons to anything from artisanal realm, because this is a completely different part of perfumery world. Or does this smell extremely natural? No, it does not. I have no doubt there are natural ingredients here, like in any other fragrance, and compare this to today's shit show of synthetic molecules, musks, and all the bullshit. This compared to that, this smells quite natural, but again, comparing to artisanal, it's nowhere close. But blend wise, obviously, even being a designer, not a niche fragrance, although on scent profile alone one could argue it deserved to be in the niche line of Tom Ford, meaning private blend. But I have a, let's say, theory why Sahara Noir was never introduced to private blend line, and my theory stands on the fragrance in this basically empty and dried up atomizer I have here. I have this atomizer for probably close to 8 years now. And for those who are familiar with Tom Ford and with Sahara Noir, you probably already know that this contains Amber Absolute. This is the quintessential amber fragrance created by Tom Ford, and maybe trying to avoid infighting between the lines and to don't cannibalize any of these two scents sales numbers, he decided to release them in a different lines. Yes, I think that Sahara Noir and Amber Absolute are not brother and sister by any means, but maybe let's say cousins. They all represent this Tom Ford take on amber resinous heavy fragrance, and it's a good take. Again, as you can see, given that I am not in love with amber fragrances, I don't have Amber Absolute bottle. Of course, it's also discontinued and even by far more expensive even than this Sahara Noir. But at least with that one, it makes a little bit of sense, more sense, because Amber Absolute was from private line. The retail price was high from the get-go, and I'm sure a lot less people bought Amber Absolute compared to Sahara Noir. So it being more expensive checks out on all the possible levels. Yeah, and it's actually, in my opinion, Amber Absolute is a higher quality fragrance. But I would call it a higher quality fragrance on materials and maybe even on blend, let's say. But as far as complexity of the scent, I actually find Sahara Noir more complex. For me, Amber Absolute is a little monolithic fragrance, I would call it that. But again, this is not exactly a criticism or anything like that. Being this huge monolithic, not moving a lot fragrance, is a signature of most ambers. I would even accuse Amber Sultan from Sergio Tons of the same. Only few ambers I find shivering, moving, and ever changing constantly, and maybe that's why I enjoy, for example, L'air du Desert Marocain more, because to me this is a more alive fragrance. It's more exciting to me. Again, if some die-hard amber fragrance fans watch me and they just, I don't know, getting disappointed by my opinion every minute of this video, I apologize, guys. We all have our tastes, and obviously if you enjoy something more, you tend to dive deeper into that part of perfumery. I enjoy musk, I enjoy oud, so I know a little bit more about musky scents, about artisanal fragrances, about oud fragrances. This is not exactly my forte, let's say. As a fraghead, as a collector, I know my basics. I have 6 or 7 amber fragrances that one should have. Like I have Tango, Cecile Zerokian take on amber from Mosque Milano brand. I have a vintage of that. I have, as I said, Amber Sultan. I have Sahara Noir. I have few versions of Desert de Marocain by Andy Tower. I try to cover my bases in all fields there are in perfumery, but this is not a field where I hold myself as all-knowing, and no field in life I hold myself all-knowing. But let's say I find if there's one weakness in my vocabulary of fragrances, that probably amber-based fragrance scents probably would be it. But even if it's not to my exact liking, let's say, I am of opinion that flowers are given where they're supposed to be given. And again, I have the bottle, I have it for a reason. It's this fragrance made history. This fragrance, Amber Absolute, also made history. And what Tom Ford is best at is discontinuing all the fragrances that it manages to release that are some sort of tide shifters or unique above, let's say, regular consumers grade. So yeah, in my opinion, these 2 fragrances were discontinued simply because the sales numbers were not good enough. Sales numbers were not good enough for the same reason why artisanal and vintage focused channel will never be, 100,000 sub channel or something like that, because it's a niche market and not 100,000 of people are interested in this kind of videos or in these kind of scents. And let's be clear here, Tom Ford is a business. It's a designer brand at that. And even for it to even release something like this, or something like Amber Absolute, and something like many of other private blend creations, it's something like a bug in the matrix, let's say. I am not expecting anything like that to happen in the nearest future again, although I would very much like something that to happen. But I think we should be happy with what we have. If you have a chance to grab this for a reasonable price, I absolutely recommend it. It's a part of perfume history in the bottle here, and in here there was some before it all dried down. And yeah, this is my review of Sahara Noir. It's an excellent amber incense fragrance. If you like amber, if you like incense, it's perfect for that. And please don't be scared by the pour femme type of bottle. This is absolutely unisex, if not leaning masculine. So yeah, thank you for watching my review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and have a good day.